All right, today we're going to talk about the women, the ladies, and the moms. We are day 31, and we're going to do a happy dance. That's right, the final day of our 31-day challenge. Woke up this morning and sort of breathed a little bit of a sigh of relief. I really enjoyed doing these. I've learned a ton. I've enjoyed studying and trying to synthesize and trying to wrap my head around some of these concepts in God's Word. I've had some computer crashes and some iOS update crashes. It's been pretty crazy. So thank you. Thank you for being here, and bless you guys. I'm glad to have been able to spend this time with you. Got some exciting things coming up in the future. Not going to do this every single day because it's a ton of work, but maybe hoping to shoot for twice a week. I got an exciting little thing I'm thinking about doing tomorrow. So we'll see about that tomorrow when tomorrow comes out. One of the kind of fun things about this is just the spontaneity of it. Really, I don't totally know what I'm going to talk about. I mean, I make some notes and I go through these things. And I always ask myself, it's not about what am I going to teach, but first of all, what am I going to learn for myself? As I look at these scriptures, I say, hey, it's me, O Lord, standing in the need of prayer. That old spiritual song. What can I learn for myself? What can I apply to myself? Now, as we look at the Proverbs today, we're looking at Proverbs 31. It's a very interesting proverb. We all know that it's the Proverbs 31 woman, right? It's the epitome of the virtuous woman. And so we're going to talk about the women and the ladies and the wives and the moms and all that kind of stuff just briefly today. What's kind of interesting is I cracked open this Bible. It's a fairly new Bible. It's about 3 years old. I've studied through it a couple times. But there was not one mark on Proverbs 31 in here. Not one. So it's kind of interesting as much as I've been through here. It's kind of like going out in the snow. You sort of look at your tracks and kind of see where you've been. And as we come back to these familiar places, we sort of see where were we before and what did we observe, what did we enjoy, what did God speak to us about. But not a trace, not a track. I used to go snowshoeing. I love to snowshoe. Haven't done it in a number of years, but it was a kind of a fun thing to be out in the pristine wilderness, walking through deep snow, through the pine trees. And, of course, you can always find your way out by following your tracks. But as I came here today, no tracks. Not that I haven't thought about this, because I have. So anyways, let's dig in and let's look at it, because there's really some very cool and amazing things in here. First of all, it starts out here saying, the words of King Lemuel, the oracle, which his mother taught him. And I immediately was awakened by that phrase, which his mother taught him, because all of the Proverbs, chapters 1 through 30, have been the instructions of a father. And you know, I just stopped to camp out on that for just a minute, and there's a couple different ways, I guess, that we could take that. You know, a mom only needs to teach 1/30 of the time that the father has to teach. You know, the preciousness of a mother and the importance of a mother's words and how they penetrate and how they sink into the heart. You know, I can remember my mom washing my mouth out with soap. I can remember it like it was yesterday. Down in the basement, took a bar of ivory soap, shoved it in my mouth, jammed it all around so it all got all stuck in my teeth because I told a lie. And she put that into me, and boy, I remember that. And she quoted Shakespeare. She said, to thine own self be true, and it will follow as the night the day that thou canst be false to any other man. Isn't that amazing? I was probably, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years old when she did that. But the words of a mother, you know, they stick. And, you know, the importance of the words of a father, because, hey, 30 days the father has been teaching the son. And it is the father's responsibility to give the commands and to teach and to be the leader in his home. So anyhow, two things the mother talks about which immediately struck me. It's kind of interesting. She says, do not give your strength to women. What's the first thing she talks to her son about? Is women, right? And the second thing is wine. For it is not for kings to drink wine. Two things, right? Sex and drugs, right? I mean, does anything change? Isn't that kind of hilarious? You know, 3,000 years ago, David was about 1,000 BC, so, you know, Solomon was right after that. But two things. Sex and drugs. You know, nothing changes, right? And what are we talking about? The passions of our hearts, the passions that will lead us astray and lead this young king astray. And there's some interesting things in here about drinking. I said some interesting things about that a while back, but we can't comment on all these, and it's not for me to do that. It's for you to read it and get something for yourself out of this. And I'm trying to keep these things short, but then we read these words, skipping down to verse 10, an excellent wife who can find. And of course, you know, Proverbs 31 is known for this description of a worthy woman, a virtuous woman. And beginning in verse 10 through the end of the chapter, she lays out the description of a virtuous woman and asking the king, a virtuous wife, asking us who can find. You know, as I read that, this particular stage I'm in, I had to kind of turn that around and say, well, a virtuous husband who can find. Okay, I have 7 daughters. And, you know, as far as excellent wives go, we've been putting out some excellent wives. I have 3 daughters that are married. You know, I look at them and I'm so proud of them. I'm so grateful for them. And in many ways, they really embody and imbibe the sentiments of Proverbs 31. And they are that excellent wife, and they're becoming those young excellent wives, because we're going to see some of the things that come out of this, but I got to keep this moving. But an excellent wife who can find, you know, it's harder, I think, today to find a good husband, and I mentioned that. You know, I think there's a lot of women out there who are waiting for a good and noble and just man to come along, and not to be Prince Charming and sweep them off their feet, but to kind of be that man, to be that righteous and godly man who will be a stand-up guy, who will be a good husband. But I want to kind of key in on one verse, and it says, she does good to her husband all the days of her life. And I thought about that, you know, and we're in this for the long haul. And we want to be women out there, you want to be women of character for the long haul. And this verse is going to wrap up with an interesting verse that many want to quote, and it says this: charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord shall be praised. And he's talking about the fear of the Lord. And of course, that's what the book of Proverbs opens with, how he becomes a God-fearing man. And here we want to see a woman who's a God-fearing woman. And he's talking about charm, or, you know, beauty, external beauty. And we put so much emphasis on beauty today. And really, what is beauty? You know, charm, I think about charm, you know, when something is a charm, it's a trinket. It's something that's shined up, something meant to sort of catch the eye. And you know, a woman can, you know, put on her makeup and put on her jewelry and put a little cleavage out there and do, you know, all this kind of stuff to try to be a charm, to try to catch a man, just about attracting men. And, you know, you can do all that, but it says it's deceitful. It's not real. It's not true. It's not legit. And I want to tie this back in with, she does her husband good all the days of her life. You know, you might find a woman like that who's, you know, really flashy, she's really, you know, externally beautiful, but, you know, you might find out later as you go down that road and as you are in that relationship that she does not do her husband good all the days of her life. And I think, you know, there's kind of a sad development. I think, and I haven't verified this, but I think a lot of divorce today, a lot of separation is initiated by women who are unhappy in their marriages, women who are not being fulfilled, women whose needs are not being met. And so what are they going to do? They're going to take it out on their husband, because they're looking to their husband to be that all in all to them, which he can never be. He can never be that all in all person that's going to bring them absolute and complete happiness like all the romance novels tell you he can. So she does her husband good all the days of his life and of her life. And you know, I thought about my own relationship with my wife, and we have gone through, you know, every possible stage and phase imaginable as couples, as you can imagine. You know, days when we're not so thrilled with each other, and then days where, you know, life is hot and passionate and things are great. But that challenge there, and as this verse ends up, the woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. You know, what is contrasted with the charm and the external beauty, and that is that which is not deceitful, but that which is true, that which is truly beautiful. And as we look at the concept of beauty, the concept of beauty really is the concept of glory. What can we exchange the external beauty and the charm, the deceitfulness of external beauty, for something that is truly glorious? And that's what I think he's talking about here. That when I think about my wife, she is truly glorious. She has all the parts, everything in the bag is there. She's got the character, she's got the hard work, she has the diligence. All of these things are part of her life. It's not just an external charm, but the reality is there. And she's invested in her daughters. She's invested in me. She has done me good all the days of my life. Do I mean every single day? No, but generally on the whole picture, and she continues at this stage in her life. We've been married for 35, 36 years, something like that, 35, I don't know how many years, something like that. But she continues to bless me. She continues to be a part of my life. Juxtaposed to all this is the modern concept of feminism. And I just can never understand this, why the feminists want to convince the American women that they need to leave their home and to go out and just be the working women because they're not fulfilled in their home. The American woman is the woman who is able to stay at home and to bless her husband, to bless her household. And as we look at all of these things that she does, she's doing them in the context of her household and of her ministry and helping the poor and having a life of significance and meaning. And why do we have to reduce that to the modern corporate business world, that the only way you can find meaning and success is by going out there and chasing the almighty dollar? I'm so grateful for my wife who has made it a point to be at home, to raise our kids, to load the wood stove, to can food from the garden, to, I think of my daughter-in-law. Oh my word, she's the coupon queen. Are you kidding me? She goes into the store and comes out with free stuff, and she does coupons. I mean, a woman can save so much money just by being at home. There's so much we could say about that, and I just wanted to kind of throw that out there in the sense because it is feminism and the modern feminist movement and the gender confusion that's giving way today to the beauty and the glory that God has called us to. And so we see a woman in verse 30 of the very end, that she's not just vain, cheap, external beauty. No, she is glory. She's glorious. She has all the parts and all the pieces in the bag. I think that's kind of how it is. As a woman gets older, she trades some of that just cheap flash for that which is really glorious, and she becomes a very beautiful person. There was one verse in here that I really liked. In verse 25, it says, "Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she smiles at the future." And I put a little note here. I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I couldn't resist. It says this: PMA, not PMS, okay? PMA, not PMS. She smiles at the future. She has a positive mental attitude. She's not negative. She's not depressed, right? She's happy. She has a positive mental attitude. She's viewing life in faith, not in negativity, not in pulling things down. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she smiles at the future. Lastly, I just want to say thank you once again for taking this time to be here with me. It's been an awesome experience to go through the Proverbs, and the goal is to read a proverb a day corresponding with the date. And now that we've finished, one of the cool things you can do is go back and start again. And every time you read these Proverbs, you're at a different place in your life. You see different things. God applies different things to you. So it's something that you can do over and over and over and over again. Hey, do me a favor. Be a member of the Tucker family. Tuck a little something in. Go online, make a donation to DeRocher Family Ministries. Buy me a coffee and a bagel. Buy me a Mac meal at McDonald's. $5 a month, $10 a month, something like that. Help us out here. We're getting ready to go out and do some more ministry on the road and put this little slot a little more on the back seat, but we're not going to disappear. We will be here. Hey, we've got a new CD coming out today. It's supposed to be ready today. When I get done, I'm going to call them and see if that CD is ready, and we'll get those delivered. So you can order that on our website as well. Maybe I'll put a link for it down below at some point when I get that posted on our website. So thank you guys. God bless you. Have a great day.
Lord, will you lead us? Prepare our hearts. We are your hands. We are your feet.